podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Cardiff Central Podcast.
Hello, welcome to Cardiff Central Podcast. Once again, it's me, Harley. Apologies for us being a day late. I was at my daughter's first birthday, and I'll be honest, I didn't really fancy recording a podcast after that. Anyway, there's no Carwyn tonight because he's busy with work. But I am joined by a very capable guest. In fact, our first returning guest of the podcast, Mr. Andrew Forde. How are you doing, Andrew?
That's high praise there. I'm good, thanks, Harley. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Said just getting the animal, getting the sound of like children screeching and giggling at farm animals. So how things been since we last spoke?
Yeah, not
videos
too
on
bad.
the channel.
Yeah, been a bit busy with the videos, but yeah, not too much. I think can't remember exactly when I was last on it, but I think it was post World Cup, and World Cup was a bit of a mayhem. But now it's nothing major. Obviously, Six Nations been and gone. Went to the Scotland game, which was a roller coaster of emotions, especially my dad's Scottish, so that was an interesting game to watch with him. But obviously, Scotland won in the end, and less said about the Six Nations campaign from a Wales perspective anyway is better in my view.
Yeah, I think I've managed to vent all my piss boiled rage out on the rap earlier this week. So feel free to look at that. So we're not going to delve too much into the Six Nations, but I do just want to ask your opinion on the blue and blacks who turned out for Wales this time out.
Yeah, I think overall it was quite positive. I think in particular, Cam Winnett's the one you kind of look out for. That I had no doubt in him when he was called up. That he was one of the most, when he was playing for Cardiff, even when he played during that kind of COVID debacle a few years ago against Harlequins. He was 18. He looked so composed, and he's kind of brought that form for Cardiff into the Wales setup. Just looks so composed. I thought Mason Grady played really well against Italy, and that was quite nice because there were a few doubters out there regarding him, and he was probably one of the most positive players in that game. It was kind of a blessing he came on, because otherwise there wouldn't have been much positive things to talk about from a Wales perspective for that game, full stop. But yeah, I think overall Cardiff boys performed quite well in the Wales squads during the Six Nations.
Yeah, I think they all did well when they got asked a chance. I mean, it was a bit gutting not to see more of Teddy. I thought as soon as we had 3 second rows on the bet starting against France, I thought they might have found room for him, just to keep that physicality up. Mason Grady made the 3rd most meters in the last round of the Six Nations, despite playing 30 minutes, which is impressive. I thought Alex Mann did very well at 6. I do agree
absolutely.
with a lot of people who say he's probably does need to add a little bit of mass, but I don't think it was in his or Cardiff's plans for him to be called up to the Six Nations this year round.
No, and it's a good stepping stone anyway, because you see the amount of kind of back rowers who in their early days are probably a little bit lightweight, and then as they get a few caps, they bulk up a bit, and that experience he got will be massive going forward. I think Gatland even said he probably needs to put on a few kgs. But yeah, going forward, he didn't look out of place at all.
Yeah, probably needs a few kgs to be dominant, but I wouldn't say he necessarily took backward steps, which is encouraging, especially some of the big boys he was going up against. So anyway, now because we've got you on and your unique talents, if you were gonna make a video of Wales's highlights of the handful that we had, what would make it for you if you're doing a sort of showcase? Say these were all the good bits of the Six Nations for Wales.
So it's a difficult question, I think, after the campaign, because there were some bits that were particularly negative. But yeah, I think good bits would definitely be highlighting how composed Cam Winnett was in that 15 shirt. I think as well the Ireland game, the kind of defence we showed in that first half. We were well beaten, but I think it could have been almost a car crash. I'm sure people will say it was a car crash, and it was to an extent. But I think we showed a lot of kind of courage with the way we defended in the Ireland game. I think if you were to highlight that, I think that's definitely one of the positives we had. At the end of the day, Ireland probably one of the best teams in the world easily. So it took a team like that to kind of batter down Wales. That you think if you can build on that, there's a lot more hope for games in the future once team have had the familiarity of playing with each other. So yeah, I think can win it's definitely the main one, but I think the defence did show good glimpses in some games.
A few Tommy turnover moments, then I'm guessing.
Oh yeah. I do actually have a video in the works of as many Tommy Reffel turnovers as I can get, including ones for Leicester, not just from the Six Nations campaign, but yeah, I think equal the most turnovers in the Six Nations campaign. Yep. So yeah,
equal John Barkley in 2011, I believe.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought it was John Barkley. I'd have thought it'd be someone else, even like Warburton in his early days. But yeah, that's an interesting start.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I said I didn't really want to say. I thought going into the under-20s, I thought Delarue and Harry Wild had decent tournaments. There's a couple of other boys who came in for the Italy game where we won, which is quite nice. Have it seems that the Italian under-20s have had our number for a few years. I think we can park Six Nations there unless there's anything you particularly want to get off your chest.
No, not particularly. I don't think there's anything positive I have to contribute. I could probably rant all day about the negatives, but yeah, we'll probably leave it there for now.
Absolutely. So let's move on to our bread and butter, seeing Cardiff run out in the blue out and all pink and blacks. It's so we're away to Glasgow this week. You've got a unique connection to Glasgow as well with a Scottish father.
Yeah. So my dad's from Glasgow, but he actually supports Cardiff because growing up, the Warriors weren't what they are now, so he was never really a Warriors fan. Then when he came down to Cardiff, he got me stuck in to supporting Cardiff. So not sure if I should be grateful or not because of some of the results we've had over the years. But my auntie and uncle are big Glasgow fans, so I've gone up before to Scotstoun to watch Cardiff play Glasgow. Unsurprisingly, we lost, but it's a good experience up there.
It certainly looks like good fun. It's definitely an away trip I'd quite like to do.
Yeah.
Maybe when the little one's a little bit older, but
yeah. So, and Glasgow is. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Glasgow's.
You carry on.
It's a bit of a mad city, but it's definitely worth visiting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just thought because we can, and we've actually got teams today. I don't know if you can see that, but so just going through sort of the Cardiff team now. So. Probably not too many surprises there. I mean, good to see Teddy Williams, Mackenzie Martin back. Anything stand out for you there? Other than one thing a mutual friend of ours pointed out, which I'll go into later.
I was a bit. I was more kind of intrigued at the selection of Shane Lewis-Hughes at 4. Obviously, I think he's performed really well at second row, but I thought if you have Seb on the bench, it would be kind of more valuable to have him starting, but at the same time that could be part of the game plan in terms of later on in the game if things get tight, it's better to have someone like Seb come off the bench as a second row than Shane. So I think that's the only thing. It's interesting that Max Clark is starting. I guess they probably see him as more of a natural 13 than Willis, but it kind of offers shades that he might be sticking around for next season if he's getting a sudden run of games, two games in a row. So yeah, kind of intrigued by that. But yeah, I think it's a positive team overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing with Shane, so I was talking with Hugh from Scarlet's Pirate Pods. He was because we were talking because if you look at just the sort of the size and the stats and like the games played, just looking between Shane and Ben Donnell. The one he'd probably put in the second row of the two is Ben Donnell. He's a bit taller. He's played a few more games there. I do think it's a lot because Jockey did say at the start of the season, he really sees Shane Lewis-Hughes being the sort of natural successor to Turnbull. So I do think he's almost using this season to get as many minutes with him in the row as possible. But also, I think as well, Seb was sort of injured whilst he was with Wales a lot as well. So maybe that's quite a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said that I think Max Clark probably deserves it after the last two outings he's had in the Cardiff jersey. I think he's equipped himself quite well.
Yeah, I suppose he is probably the kind of natural 13 they're looking for. I know Willis has covered 13 many a time, but I do think he's more of a 12. And you see that if both Willis and Ray are playing, it's Ray who shifts to 13 rather than Willis. So I think it makes more sense. And then you've got that added bonus of you've got Willis can come on as a 12. Obviously, Ben then can cover 10. And you got Grady can jump in at 13, and even Owen Lane could jump in at 13. So it's kind of a nice balance to it there.
Yeah, it's quite a versatile backline because even Beetham, if you really wanted to, you could push to 12.
Yeah.
A couple of players we won't see though. We'll see no Domachowski Azarati, sort of rested from Wales duty, same as Alex Mann. Thomas, unfortunately, he's injured his was it Achilles, I think?
Yeah, I think
was
so.
after, so Ross Vincent, banning for life, breaking hands from Tom. I don't care if it was a perfectly legal tackle. So it looks like we might unfortunately miss out on Tom. I think when that's confirmed, maybe we'll have a pod where we talk a bit more about some of our favourite moments. If we just move on to the Glasgow team now. So I don't know if you or any of your family know much about these. So Glasgow lineup: Nathan Macbeth, Johnny Matthews, try scoring machine, Lucio Sordani, Max Williamson, Alex Samuels, Ewan Ferree, Matt Fagerson, Jack Dempsey, Jamie Dorby, Duncan Weir, the mighty meatball himself, Kyle Stain, Tom Jordan at 12, Stafford McDowell, Sebastian Cantier, and Josh Mackay, and then we'll worry about the bench later. So they've gone 6-2. We've gone 5-3. Let's see how this works. Any thoughts about this team? There's a couple of Scotland internationals back.
Yeah,
but probably not as strong as maybe
back
they were.
in. No. I'd say there's a few names that are a little bit unfamiliar to me. But the back row, the back row is stacked, particularly for Fags and Dempsey to slot back in. But that back line looks pretty solid. Like especially behind Duncan Weir, you've just got options galore there, and if they run us ragged quite early on, we're probably going to be in for a long night because there's some devastating finishes there all round.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're trying to go a bit wider. Moving Tom Jordan from 10 to 12. Moving Stafford McDowell out one. So I said that should be good. I said Sebastian Cantier, he's been on fire all season, hasn't he? Really?
Yeah. I think as well, just looking at the bench, it's kind of a bit. Maybe they've gone for the similar thing of having Allendale, Ollie Keble there to kind of cover as if the game gets tight later on, they're going to be some pretty solid options to come off the bench there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting they're using Keble at tight head as well. Typically he is elusive. I know they've experimented both they in Scotland have experimented in a while.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't even aware that he had covered tight head that often, so maybe could be something to exploit. But it's Ollie Keble. It's a good player. Like can't say that too early because I'll come back to bite me.
Yeah, I said. We've got the sort of the very promising but still quite green Reece Barrett on the bench. It's maybe not as easy to exploit as possible. Right.
No.
So one of the other things we wanted to do with the sort of individual regional pods is sort of go through the rest of the fixture list and try and pick out some key games. So I'm just going to run through it. So obviously, tomorrow night we've got Glasgow Warriors. Where has he gone? Bloody typical. All set up right, and then next week we're away to Munster, then Ulster. After a 2-week gap, then we've got our final home game against Edinburgh on the 27th of April. Same day as Wales host Italy in the Principality Stadium. So I'm planning on trying to do the double, watch the Women's Six Nations and switch into the Arms Park. And then we've got our South Africa tour away. So we face the Emirates Lions on the 11th of May. Then we go back to the Shark. We go to play the Sharks on the 18th of May to see if we can maintain our unbeaten run against them. In fact, our 3-year unbeaten run against any team called Sharks. And then obviously the 1st of June then is Judgment Day at Cardiff City Stadium against the Ospreys. So out of these games, which one do you think is probably the key one, the one that we really should be focusing on?
It's difficult, really, because obviously it's just the one home game. If you, I wouldn't necessarily consider Judgment Day a home game. Obviously, it's the last game of the season, so it's kind of different. But it's just the one home game, so I think we kind of got to hope for a positive result there. And if we're going to target a game, try and target that. Although Edinburgh can be just different gravy at times, especially kind of the variety of players they've got in their squad. It's just a tough kind of thing to balance, having 3 away games on the trot, especially the quality of teams that we're playing. It's going to be a bit of a difficult end of the season, I think.
Yeah, so which game are you nailing onto the mast then? The Edinburgh home game?
Yeah, but then I'd say often when we play Munster, it's a bit of I think we're sometimes a bit of a bogey team for Munster, because even though they've beaten us quite a few times quite comfortably, we do seem to offer something against them. It's always just a great game whenever we play them. Some great tries are scored. I particularly remember during last season, during the COVID season, it was behind closed doors. Home and away was both quite close, and we had them in the Rainbow Cup, and I think it was a captain's challenge that, if I'm remembering correctly, it was a captain's challenge that essentially at the end denied us a try, and that's what lost us the game. So I always enjoy playing against Munster, and I find on Twitter the Munster fans very good value. So yeah, I'm excited for that game. I'm not gonna say that we can beat them, because that would be quite naive, especially away. But yeah, excited for that game. How about yourself, Harley? Any game you're back in?
I said, for me, I think the most important game for me is probably going to be that Edinburgh game, just because it is our last chance to get the home crowd supporting, try and get another win, under that team.
Yeah.
I mean, the other one I'd say is maybe Sharks away. I know it's they should probably be at their full strength now, and they'll be playing for a bit of pride towards the end of the season. But I feel like we've got to, we should at least be beating teams lower ranked than us on the table if we do want to move on. I know this season's been all about development, but similar to the conversations people are starting to have with Wales now, we do need some results, because you don't learn how to win until you start winning.
Yeah, it'll be good value as well, getting that win against the Sharks and heading into Judgment Day with a bit of momentum and a bit of optimism going against the Ospreys, because I think we'll need it the way the Ospreys have been playing this season. So if we could go in on a win, that would be great. But yeah, again, I think as well with the player the Sharks have towards the end of the season, they'll be kind of peaking a bit with knowing that they've then got a bit of a rest before they then play the internationals then play. So I think they'll be kind of firing to go. Your likes of Etzebeth and Benambi, Oxenshea. I think they'll be raring to go when they've got a home game towards the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I said it's going to be quite exciting to see them. I mean, I very much doubt we'll be able to replicate what happened last time out. But,
no. It'd be nice if we could, though.
But whilst we can, I'm still milking it for all it's worth.
Yes, definitely.
So going back to this Glasgow game, what do you reckon? Nice loose affair. Do you think we're going to be a bit more competitive than we have the last couple of times we've been up in Scotland?
Yeah, I don't have great memories of kind of the last few times we played up at Scotland. We probably haven't given the best showing of ourselves, especially the last game. I think was last season. We got absolutely demolished the week after we beat Munster at home. So I think we'll probably try and play fast and loose, but it's going to be difficult when you see their outside backs to kind of make sure we're a little bit more complacent. So, because if there's broken play, they're just going to run riot. So, I just think overall, now I'm saying that it's going to be a fast and loose game. It's probably going to be a tight 80-minute game where the final score is going to be 3-0 Glasgow. So, I hope it's not that. But yeah, no, I'm quite excited to watch it. I think Friday night games, when it's an away game, it's always quite nice to watch in front of the TV. So hopefully we make a good account of ourselves. And we've got a decent team out. If we can put in a solid performance, that's kind of all I'm asking for.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think same. Are you gonna nail your colours to the mast with a prediction?
Oh, I'd go 31-23 to Glasgow. So just about miss out on the bonus point. But yeah, hopefully we can just get a good showing of ourselves. That's all I'm asking for. So if we can do that, then I'll be happy regardless of the result. I don't want another 50 points put on us. How about yourself? Were you predicting?
Yeah, I'm sort of feeling in there. I think on Wrap on Monday I said Glasgow were like 15. Looking at the teams now, I think actually maybe probably get within. I think we will be within within two scores, maybe one score. Be quite nice, as long as it's not. I think if it is, almost as cliche as it is, if it's about like outscoring each other on tries, I think we'll probably stay quite close. I think if it gets into too much an arm wrestle scrum time, then it could be a bit of an issue, particularly with our bench.
Yeah. I'm not quite a big fan of predicting scores anymore myself, because before the Quins game, a few people were asking, "Oh, what are you predicting?" And I was like, "Oh, based on how we performed against Bath, I don't think we'll beat them, but we could stay in a fight and we could maybe nick it." And then we all know what happened in that game. So I tend to not like predicting scores of games.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. That Quins game, I think was it called a mulligan or something like that, where you just basically you just burn the reel and say no, there's nothing we take from that.
No, not at all. Yeah, it's weird that how positive we were, that even though we got kind of demolished by Toulouse, I think there was a lot more positive to take out of the Toulouse game and the Racing game than there was against Harlequins, who I thought we might have been in the fight at least. So it was kind of a weird thing there, that there's more positives from getting pretty comfortably beaten away than there was to a home game against a team that only a couple of seasons before we should have beaten at home in the Champions Cup. But this is still been and gone. I'm rambling now.
That's right. So in other news, the Rags are playing Swansea tonight, sort of keep their top four dreams alive in the Premiership. What have you made of the Rags season this so far? Have you been following closely?
A little bit. I went to the Llandovery game because a mate of mine was starting for them, Johan Hugendorn. He's on a permit from St. Peter's. Yeah, great name. So when I watched him, he'll appreciate me shouting him out, I'm sure. So when I watched him, and it was one of those, Cardiff started off quite well, but Llandovery just is a bit like the Quins game, really. And it was expected, I don't think anyone thought the Rags were going to beat Llandovery. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things of last few seasons after winning a couple of seasons ago when we won the Premiership. It's just things haven't been as plain sailing. But there's a lot of positives to come. And there's some very good players coming through, I think, as well. And it's kind of nice to have like the settled players like Jason Harries for experience as well for the boys that are coming through. And I think we've got a really nice kind of conveyor belt there for the ones that are coming into the first team then.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, I suppose it doesn't help with obviously with the budget cuts and the pro side having to cut its cloth accordingly. Then we're relying more on players who we'd give, like the likes of Alex Mann and Mackenzie Martin. 2 seasons ago would have been playing most of their rugby in the Premiership and going through. Just to go, the other Premiership fixtures this week. So Merthyr are hosting Carmarthen and Ponty are hosting Aberystwyth. They're both 2:30 kickoffs on Saturday. Sorry, I've just lost my train of thought.
It's all right.
One day off work, and that's it. I can't even think anymore. So I thought, as we're sort of going down into towards the more, gradually going toward the community game, a little birdie and a mutual friend of ours, James Rees, told me you've yourself have returned to action.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, James actually played for the team that I played for.
Yeah, he's never mentioned it. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of added me a bit on one of the rap podcasts, saying that I'm always injured, which he's not wrong, but I have played a few games this season. We played a game a few weeks back. It was Dinas Paris atop the league in our league at the moment, having come down from, I think, Div 1, because they got fined for something or other. I'm not going to claim to know right now what it is. Don't want to accuse them of something they didn't do. But yeah, we had a kind of top of the table clash as such. It was second v third. Beat Trevor Cloud at home, and it was an absolute mudfest. So it was not the funnest game to play in, and it was so heavy underfoot that kind of covering 10 meters of grass felt like you were covering 50 meters of grass. So just luckily, if the whistle went for a penalty, there was just a kind of feeling of relief during the game. But yeah, we won the game. I somehow played 80 minutes. But yeah, I hope one day I'll come up against James, whether that's me going down to his neck of the woods in Bognor Regis or him coming back down to Cardiff. Be interesting to play with him.
Yeah, we do see if we can do a 3/4 way for boy round robin. You can get. I'll see if I can get a vets second team from Sidmouth, and maybe we can get Willow in to bring some Long Eaton boys down. They could
you could set up a sevens team with the Rap Podcast boys, I reckon. Try and chuck them into a sevens tournament. That would be quite
you don't want that. You've no idea how slow and ineffective I am as a blindside.
I'm a loose head prop, so you're preaching to the choir there. I'd be useless if I was involved in any kind of form of sevens. So, but it's all about the fun involved. Yeah. I'm saying that I've never played sevens properly before, but going to like a few sevens competitions is always fun, especially when it's the 7 series, which is a shame that it's not in London anymore, because me and my mates would always go down every year. So, but that's me rambling again about something completely unrelated.
I'd quite happily talk about this. Me and my mum have been considering doing something like the Dubai or Hong Kong sevens at some point. And yes, it is me and my mum my mum is my first choice for taking some of the rugby, because most people I know are either not interested or just don't get it. At least I can have a conversation with my mum.
Well, I always have to get my mates who aren't interested in rugby. That's just, if I say, we'll be drinking, then they're sold. So that's my key to get them involved in anything. It's just there'll be alcohol there, and they're like, right, okay, I'll be there.
Yeah, that sounds about right with most of a lot of my old friends anyway. Bit harder to organise stuff like that now, but digress. Anyway, I don't want to keep you on, because speaking of drinking, I believe you're off out for the football later. So
yeah, big game tonight. So even though it's wrong shaped ball compared to what we're chatting about, hopefully off to the pub soon to hopefully see Wales beat Finland, get to that playoff final.
I hope the ball is kicked correctly. I generally have. I'll know less about football than I do with rugby.
I hope no one picks up the ball today, unless it's a keeper. So different story. But yeah, won't be any kicks for goal as such. Rugby style, be a different type of kick at goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, just want to say thank you once again, Andrew, for stepping in. Sorry, it's a short podcast, one of the shorter episodes, but I really didn't want to have to trawl through the trauma of Wales, Italy. So I think
I'm grateful for that as well. Yeah, so, sounds good. Yeah, cheers for having me on, Harley.
Yeah, anytime you want to hop on. And thank you all for listening. Ta-ra.
Thank you for listening to the Cardiff Central podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe, rate and review wherever you listen to us, as it really helps spread the word. You can find us on all the usual social media channels or email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. And remember, whatever the question is, rugby is always the answer.
Sports Social Podcast Network.